What's up, y'all? It's Shuffle, and in this video we're going to do a guide for Bounty Hunter. This is our first character guide. It's going to be a little less editing and a little shorter than some of the other ones, and that's just because Bounty Hunter is special in a lot of ways and he's a little more straightforward. So get ready for that. And in this guide we're going to cover how to get him, what his gear is, what teams he works on, what his skills do, and what he's good at, what he's bad at. So get ready for all that. Very cool stuff. So starting off, how do you unlock Bounty Hunter? Bounty Hunter is at the Altar of Hope. You have to spend a few candles to unlock him, and then to get the rest of his moves and items you have to spend more candles. He's a bit cheaper than the other heroes comparatively, which is nice. And the one tip I will give about unlocking Bounty Hunter is that he is much stronger than the other heroes are at base. This is by design. He's supposed to be a strong character. So even if you don't have a lot of other things unlocked and you're early in your profile, it's actually okay to grab him, at least just so he shows up. You don't have to get like all the moves and stuff, but getting him early can be beneficial for your team. Once you unlock Bounty Hunter, he will show up at an inn, just like this one. Thankfully, I got him right after I went through the valley because I was gonna record something else. So we have his poster that pops up in the back of the inn. It may not be, readily apparent. They've been making this easier to see as time goes on, which I'm thankful for. And if you see this poster, you can mouse over it and then you can pick him up. So when you click on it, I'm going to hopefully not blow out everyone's eardrums.
There is no man behind the hunter's mask, only a terrible thought. The thrill of the hunt, the promise of payment.
So as you saw there, that's the process. You click the poster and then you swap someone out of your team for him. This actually has some really good benefits and some notable drawbacks, but what is Bounty Hunter good at? He is incredibly versatile. This means he can fit in any team. He can do a multitude of jobs. Well, he can do two jobs. He can do tanking and like tank support and damage. He can kind of mix all three of those if he wants to. He is good in every single region in the game because of his kit. We'll talk about that. And gotta look at the notes. He has no setup stun skills, which is very, very cool. What is he bad at? It's actually kind of hard to pinpoint what this character's bad at, but starting off with what he is bad at, he has pretty average damage. He can do a lot of damage. If something is comboed and vulnerable, he can do a lot of damage with Collect Bounty, but that's some setup, and only he is able to do both of those at one time. So if you want to do something like Encore, Mark for Death, and then Collect Bounty right after, you can do that. Otherwise, it's going to take one or two turns from other people to set him up. I guess Smokescreen can do both if he really needed it, which shouts to Smokescreen Plus, right? But yeah, so he can't build affinity. This is a strength and a weakness, but I'm putting it in the weakness section because since he can't build affinity, that means that when you go to a node that has a choice and two of your teammates are fighting over it, like they don't agree on fighting the enemy or running away, Bounty Hunter can sometimes give you the choice that you want. And since he doesn't build affinity, it won't impact the team at all, which that's the good scenario for it. The bad scenario for no affinity is building affinity is really important in the game, and if you basically take someone out for an entire region, that's three characters not building affinity with, and that can be very detrimental long term. So you always have to have a plan with that in mind. Either a bunch of items ready for that person when they get back, or making sure that you're okay with them not, getting anything. For instance, you go to region 3, someone has 9 affinity across the board, which means they're just neutral, and they might slip down and have bad affinity. You can swap them with BH and they build nothing up to the mountain, and then that way you don't have any items for them, they stay neutral at least. So there are some ways to work around it. The other negative of Bounty Hunter is he is a big candle investment. You have to put a lot into the altar if you own all of his stuff, and he takes 4 every time you hire him. He takes it at the end of the run though, thankfully, so it's not like he immediately just rips them out of your inventory, you know. But the candle investment, it matters. The hiring him for 4 won't matter eventually, but starting out it does matter a bit, so be wary of that. Now let's talk about his skills. When you also, to start off here, when you hire Bounty Hunter, he'll show up with a trinket, a random trinket. It'll either be something like this, basically a mid-tier trinket like this one, or I think Heartseeker, or even the heal one, Protectorate. He can show up with that, or he'll show up with his class trinkets. His class trinkets are much more rare for him to appear with, but they are very powerful. So looking at his skills though, starting off, collect bounty. This is just a very tight damage range, 8 to 12, low crit, but 50% bonus damage on combo, which is very nice. Bounty Hunter also does not require mastery. He comes in with all of his stuff maxed, which is very nice. Mark for Death, we were talking about this before. Combo and double vulnerable. This is a lot of damage, not just for him, but for whoever else decides to hit that target. Come Hither, very good move, can use it from anywhere. Surprisingly high crit rate, combos the enemy and pulls them forward. So you get to do 2 different things. You may want to combo the enemy, you may want to pull them. You may want to do both, and this helps you do that. Caltrops, this is why the old Caltrops were renamed to Crow's Feet, and this is a range bleed attack that lowers their movement resist and speed. Kind of wish this was a position token, like controlled burn, but it's not. And Caltrops is, it's okay. Like this is, it's not a bad move, it's just the times to use it are not readily apparent. Flashbang is much like his DD1 move, except it can't hit rank 4, which is a bit strange because in DD1, its best application was to hit the thing in rank 4 and stun it and then pull it up all the way to the front if you're lucky and then kill it afterwards, or just leave it there. So Flashbang is still really powerful in this game. It can stun if there's combo, it will daze, and it will blind, or at least it'll try to, and then it shuffles enemies. So this is a really good move if you have him in the back. And then it's actually, let's highlight the moves that we're talking about. So Stare Down is one of his tanking abilities. So as I was saying, he's very flexible in what he can do. He also has a ton of HP, by the way. His defensive stats are monstrous, which is cool. And so Stare Down can be used from anywhere to target anything. It's got a 1-turn cooldown, gives him 2 taunt, takes off vulnerable, so that helps him. It's kind of like inverse block if he's, gonna tank, and then it weakens the target that he hits with it. And that is really nice because double weaken, again, this is kind of like flipping block in a different way. So instead of you making sure you take half damage, you get rid of the vuln, which is what block would have done anyway, and then you reduce the damage that you're taking by half. And this isn't necessarily just the same target hitting him twice. It could be, one target gets a hit in, and then another target gets a hit in, and then something else has the 2 weaken. So it was a really good move. Hurlbat, which is apparently a name for an old throwing axe. That's a very, very cool choice. This move is really good. So in the back, Bounty Hunter can target anything with it. Does some pretty good damage at 6 to 10. 15% crit is really nice. Ignores dodge against combo, and the bonus damage when burning target is a very odd choice. This doesn't come up too often, but it's nice when it does, but usually I don't plan around this. Just more of a if it happens thing. No Escape is a ranged stun attack. This kind of makes Flashbang a bit superfluous, or can't even say that word. It might feel a bit unnecessary, or it overlaps with Flashbang in a way, but this is definitely the better range stun that he has. It just can't target the front. And so, No Escape, it just does a little bit of damage, has some good crit, ignores dodge entirely, and it combos the enemy while stunning them. It doesn't need combo to stun. It stuns and then combos. That's really good for any follow-ups. that are coming. Finish him. This is another move he had in the first game. This ignores death blow resist by quite a large margin. 20% is really nice. Has a lot of reach too, so if you stuff him in rank 3, he can hit stuff. Ignores block, also good. Pretty decent damage, and then if they are stunned or dazed, then you get bonus damage. This is a bit harder to pull off because BH is kind of slow. I think his base speed is 3, yeah. So, actually, is it? Yeah, it's 3. So having something dazed or stunned that doesn't get a turn before he gets his turn, a little tough to work out. I guess the ideal scenario is the enemy goes first, someone else dazes it, and then Bounty Hunter goes. But still a good move. And then Uppercut, this is back from DD1 as well. This is another no setup stun. And it knocks enemies back only by 1 space, so it's not... The knockback isn't as good as it could be, but I mean, this move's already super good. So if he's up front, he has this move. Like, no questions. Then we have Bodyguard, which is kind of like Defender. Honestly, it's like unupgraded Defender, but you know, 2 guard, 2 block it's good. So he has some tanking abilities. He can pretty much do anything except heal himself. That does it for his abilities, and as far as building him goes, usually it depends where he's at in the party. If he's up front, I like to run something like this. So we have Collect Bounty, Finish Him, Uppercut, Mark for Death, Come Hither. Usually Come Hither and Mark for Death are on pretty much every build. And then as far as the attacks go, if he's up front, then you give him the 2 axe attacks. And then if he's in the back, you give him the 2 throwing axe attacks. So have Hurlbat and No Escape. And then pretty much the 5th slot is flexible to you. You can also swap out Mark for Death if you don't just want it usually. I think the least used skills for me are Caltrops and Flashbang. Not that they're bad, it's just his other stuff's really good. But, you know, you can go super utility with him, like finish him for the DBR piercing, a no setup stun, and then something like, you know, the 2 tank skills. There are a lot of flexible ways to build him. It's just wherever you put him in the party. So he's got some really cool stuff going on there. And important, I don't know if I said this earlier, but just in case, you only get to keep him for 1 region when you hire him. So you pick him up at the inn, he stays with you till the next inn. And as far as paths go, he has none. I mean, this is basically Wanderer for him, but it's called Professional. And what he can do that I don't think it says in there, apply on hit, class, it should say this. He has the ability to recycle combo. So if they're comboed and he hits them with Collect Bounty, there's like a 50% chance that he reapplies the combo afterwards. This only goes for a couple of his skills, but it is important to note that he can do that. So he's pretty much a combo machine. He can build it, he can spend it, and he can keep it on targets. One final important tip that does bear mentioning is that when you hire him is really important. You have to have a goal in mind. I mean, you can just pick him for fun if you really want to, but his best applications are if you're going to fight a boss and you need his help, especially at the beginning, so like region 1, you can take him and he gives you a really good chance of winning. Or something like at the end of region 3, there's the cultist mini boss at the end. He's good for that too. And then the final thing or final reason to hire him is to swap out someone that has a very bad matchup in the region you're going to. The easiest one that I always cite is if you're going to the Sprawl, which has burn resistant enemies, and it also gives really good burn trinkets, and you want to take your runaway, but she sucks in the Sprawl. So you swap her with Bounty Hunter, and now suddenly you have a really good team member to help Runaway get burn trinkets, while Runaway doesn't really weigh down the team by, you know, being a difficult character to run in that region. This goes for stuff like Alchemist PD, well, maybe not Alchemist, but, you know, Blight PD in the Fetter, or Grave Robber in the Fetter, for instance, because she does some Blight damage. So if you can see a reason to swap someone for him, usually it's the right call. But just bear in mind, you only get to use them once. per region, he has about a 50% chance. It's a little less. I think it's like 45% chance to show up at any inn except the mountain. So make sure you're using him and timing him correctly, but also grab him if you feel he's going to be good, because if you wait too long, you may not see him for that run. We'll round out the video by talking about Bounty Hunter's Trinkets, and if I obviously look different, it's because when I did this section of the video, I accidentally left my mic muted, so that whole part is gone. We're going to do it again. So with Bounty Hunter's Trinkets, we have 3 class ones, and in terms of like the neutral trinkets, it's kind of hard to make them work for him because, you know, if you take them early, you're not going to have many, and later on you might want to be giving trinkets to other people. But on the off chance he does spawn in with his own personal ones, they are pretty good. So the Crime Lord's Molars gives them bonus damage if there's combo, or bonus crit if they're stunned. I hope this means daze too, not just stun, because otherwise it's a bit harder to pull that one off. And then he has movement resist piercing, which means come hither should stick. So this is a really interesting one. And something to note too, if the target has combo and he gets bonus damage, he doesn't have to consume the combo. So if he just swings like finish him, it's going to get bonus damage, which is nice. Utility belt, this makes flashbang specifically a lot better, just because I think it double dazes at that point. And then the weaken on hurlbat just is fantastic. That's a really good one to have. And then Caltrops has a better chance of sticking its debuffs. And I wouldn't specifically build around Caltrops for this trinket, but you can if you want to. Kill list is ridiculous. And what you want to do with kill list is feed him every kill in every battle, especially if there's like a boss later on in the region, because this can ramp up very fast. Most fights have 3 or 4 enemies, and if he gets all 3 or 4 of those kills, he's getting like 9 to 12% bonus damage per fight. That is huge. That's gonna do it for the video. Like I said, a bit less editing in this one, and the next video I'm thinking is gonna be Runaway. It was Jester in terms of the vote, but I want to make sure that... But I want to see if I can get to the shrines and have a tutorial on how to do those, because people have trouble with them. So thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.